Cristina Mazzucchelli,
Well, it was Cristina Mazzucchelli, the landscape designer, who created a very, very pleasant garden that all the Muscovites really enjoyed back in 2018. He was later invited to talk at a landscape designers convention in the UK, where she talked about geometry of landscape design. And it was one of those trend setting moments that we're now talking about. And she shared with us today her very special approach to landscape design. And as a neurobiologist, she um, has successfully explained to us that um, um, harmony and good matching of landscape elements and planting are exactly the things that enable us to enjoy a garden and feel happy in it. And I'd like to emphasize that it's the landscape and garden shows have been allowing us and all the spectators to uh, to follow the trends and to understand which gardens are in fashion. And I'm very happy that Flower Jam supports festivals in different cities of Russia. And today, today is just a case of such festival whose representative is here with us today. And it's the organizer of Atmosfera Landscape Festival from Yekaterinburg, Yulia Sorokina.
современность садов атмосферы отметил председатель международного...
I'd like to point out that Andy Sturgeon spoke very highly um, of the festival, and especially of some of the contestants participating in the festival. Landscape festival indeed create trends, but I think no less important here is that landscape festivals actually give access to the festivals to the public. And also a festival by itself can be a trend-setting event. And we obviously tried to make our festival uh, turn into exactly this. And we tried to combine our festival and renovation of the derelict places. And we chose specifically areas in the city that for a long time had been derelict and unattended. And those territories that we were given by the authorities had for a long time been turning into commons and trash sites. And our primary goal was to turn such territory into vivid and uh, bright event for our spectators. And now please play the video. Renovation of an environment landscape festival 3 weeks prior to the festival. 30 years the territory had been derelict and it was captured by the weeds. And here's the oak tree, which is 150 years old. July 2020, uh, 3 weeks before the opening, we worked 20 hours a day, and we wanted to turn it into a park. Um, it was a teamwork of all participants, uh, supported by Green Park Company and sponsors and volunteers. It was attended by about 10,000 people, and they obviously enjoyed what they saw and also took part in workshops and master classes. And we managed to create this place and turn it into a place of power. And adjacent to this site was a very old, were two old buildings, one from 1905, another one from 1875, and they were introduced to the site by our efforts to uh, create such intermingling structures and spaces, and we did it.
Слышно ли меня?
Да, Юля.
Can you hear me?
Наш фестиваль назывался «Место силы».
Our festival was called
Сначала видели с вами
um,
территорию, какая она была. Страшно вспомнить, сколько мы выкопали оттуда.
and
Машин вывозили.
I'm dreaded to
Реальные машины.
even to remember how many
На этой территории вывозили. То есть
dump trucks we used to get rid of all the
территорию
trash that we found there.
доступно, открывать ее по-новому.
And
Уникальное растение.
it was a unique experience of our redeveloping the territory and re-exploring it. And we really enabled everyone to come and touch the trees, 100-year-old apple trees, and please pick up that trend that we tried out during the festival. And I do hope that our experience will be passed on to other festivals. And I'd like to talk a little bit about our participants and gardens that participated in the festival.
Презентацию.
Пока мы ждем, я хочу сказать,
While we're waiting, I'd like to say that we were really missing our festivals and the ambience, and we had to postpone the presentations of our finalists to 2021, but some festivals had still been able to convey that feeling of a well-built festival. It was a very difficult year, and we only managed to have 5 gardens built, but each one was unique. And what we're seeing here is a therapeutic garden. Can you please give me the next slide? It's a therapeutic garden where phytoncides were used and they were planted in a certain mixture, and some people upon arriving to our gardens, they rushed to that garden. They were attracted by the smells, and they really spent a lot of time there. They virtually couldn't leave the place because we had elaborately picked the plants for planting, and it does look very simple in the pictures, but people who came there, they really wanted to stay as long as possible, and even 15 minutes spent there would make you want to stay. And we employed some soap bubbles to visualize the odors and smells that we had in that garden. That's our landscape bureau, generous landscape designer, and these are the people. These are the people who would keep on saying that a human being can go on without food or water for a long time, but you can't go on without breathing. That's why the breathing was the most important aspect of the garden. That's another garden. That's another garden from the show, and it was built on the podium, which uh, disconnected the structure from the earth, and it's an easily transferable garden, and it's a sort of a transformer in a way, um, with which you could actually work in any way you wanted. It's a multifunctional garden, and it occupied 10 by 10 square meters area, and it just 600 square meters, and for the whole festival. And this particular garden showed how much you can get out of 100 square meters. And some elements of the garden were charred and burned in an attempt to protect the logs and wood. It's an old Japanese technique, and it turned out very nicely. Um, and these are the authors of the garden. Of the garden. I'm inviting you all to go and look at the garden on our website. That's another garden which I'm sure is also trend setting and a trend picking experience. And what's so special about the garden? The garden was blended in with the natural environment, and we kept the existing trees, and even even the area that was designated for the garden was not changed. And this garden is called Anima, the soul of the earth. I'm not going to talk too long about it because Olga, the author of the garden, will tell you more about it. It's a very authentic place, and it's one of the main, in my opinion, trends that we had at our festival, which was to blend in with the environment rather than reconditioning it. The trend that actually has spread uh, across many cities is this multi-layered, multi-terraced terrorist levels, and it symbolizes the freedom that one can have if they can go out and walk on the roof of the house. And it is indeed very popular with clients from different cities. Uh, and this place turned out to be very interactive. It attracted a lot of people, and people interacted with it in a lot of ways, such as dancing on top of it, taking pictures, having some rest. It's a prime example of small garden architecture. Um, Once again, I'd like to invite you to our site to get to know our gardens. And this is the garden that its author later will be talking about. It's the garden who won the uh, main prize. And as Andy Sturgeon said, this garden deserves to be in any competition. And there are quite a lot of novelties were used in building of this garden. When I was speaking pictures of the garden yesterday, I I was baffled. I just couldn't pick the right one, and I wanted to show them all to you. And I'm glad that Marina, who's the author of the project, will be talking more about it today. And that's how it looks in the evening with the illumination. I'm really feeling tempted to let you have more of this garden. And these are the authors of the garden here. And what's interesting here is that we were surprised by the sponsors. We never had such a financial support before, and we were able, thanks to sponsors, to create bigger gardens this year. And I'd like to emphasize that our festival, which is called Atmosphere, was very successful, and we are very happy with how it turned out. And it happens to become a source of inspiration for people who visited our gardens. And I'd like another video, please. We're working on it. Well, it's taking a while, sorry.
Тогда давайте, пока мы включаем, я еще что-нибудь расскажу о фестивале, потому что мне кажется, я о нем могу говорить вечно.
While we're waiting, let me talk more about the festival. I can talk about it forever, I guess. Can you please tell us, as Cristina said, that the garden should exist in order to please the person or to please you while you're there, and it's there to make you feel good. How do you see it, and do you actually see it in your show gardens? Well, they're so different, the gardens. And first of one of our gardens is called a charging station. Breathe deeper, and it's it's the garden which does not have any architectural forms, or it's not loud, it doesn't shout at you. There were just exactly what Cristina was talking about. There were a lot of there was a lot of greenery and uh, garden forming trees were a couple of very old apple trees, and they attracted a lot of people. But people are different, and some people come to our gardens to have some rest, to relax, and but some want to get completely different experience from a garden and to be more energized and physically inspired by the garden uh, to get a proper uh, charge. It's like a dog quite often takes after its master. Um, the same way a gardens they take after the authors. Again, no sound here. Sorry.
Во-первых, начиная даже с того, какие люди здесь.
This is the Atmosphere Festival. Even talking about people who work here, they have been able to create very friendly and warm atmosphere. And I don't even think that the weather that we're having now is not a negative factor, however bad it may be. There's no bad weather. And you can still enjoy the garden in any weather.
Он у меня вызывает массу эмоций, и я рада, что это положительные эмоции.
This garden really is very emotional for me. And I know I can compare what it looked like before the festival and what it looks like here. And I do recommend this place to all of my friends because it's amazing how they have managed to transform this place.
Ну что, мы тоже почувствовали атмосферу ландшафтного фестиваля.
Well, we have had a touch of this atmosphere of this landscape festival, but we are falling behind our schedule, unfortunately, and I'd like to let other participants to talk a little bit on about their gardens. And I'd like to ask Olga to talk about the creator of Anima Garden, to tell us how garden trends worked in their garden. When we were creating this garden, we never thought about any trends at all. But as I'm hearing what people say now, we obviously hit some trends, and we used a lot of natural materials, and we managed to create our garden as authentic as it could possibly be. And we tried to link our garden to our cultural traditions, to our culture, to our homeland of Ural. And that's great. It only means that what we're talking about is not in vain. And we already had a similar discussion talking about natural gardens and semi-natural gardens. And it seems like this approach is being realized right now. And the respect for the nature that surrounds us, that's something that we have been already witnessing for some time. And I'm sure it's will be happening in the future. Cristina talked very much and very extensively about the importance of green, the color of green on our psychological health. And we do see that gardens and festival gardens have lost quite a lot of bright colors and instead have turned into various uh, hues of green. And I'm inviting another participant of today's round table to talk about exactly that, about the color and planting in the modern garden. Please, as you can see, well, as you can see, there's a bit of green color behind me. Well, it's not. Uh, it's there for a reason, or maybe not. I don't know. But let me start my presentation. It starts. It does start with the green color, although it may be by chance. But my opinion is that there are trends, but the trends are in the air, and we randomly sometimes pick them up, and we see them in various sources, and uh, there's no formal convention or there's no formal agreement as to which trend to use. We either hit the spot, hit the mark, or we do not. Um, I'd like to switch to the next slide. And the next picture, as you see, is not green at all. Well, trends are important for any type of designers, not only for landscape designers. Where do we see these trends? I'm I'm a tireless person in terms of visiting all sorts of exhibitions, and not only in Russia, but and also abroad. And I'm trying to um, keep track of all everything that is happening in museums. And quite recently, I was at a exhibition by quite a trend-setting artist, and and I learned that he sold his company. It was Martin Margiela, and there's a film dedicated to him, and it's called Martin Margiela in His Own Words. And he sold his company because he thought that he had run out of ideas and this trend-setting ability that he thought that he had for a long time. And obviously, we're looking at a lot of different flower shows in different places. It's Chelsea and other shows in Scandinavia. Why do we need such those trends that are reflected in such uh, festivals? Um, because they actually reflect everything that is happening in the world, not only what your client might want from you. I'd like to start with global trends, and I'd like to start with the loudest and brightest trends. And the global and more important trends, they obviously come from Chelsea. And I'd like to highlight uh, exactly the same things that, uh, as Christina was saying, and we must use gardens to regenerate landscapes and give nature another chance to revive. And what tools do we have for that? What we're trying to do, we're trying to imitate natural planting. And the latest trend, obviously, is an usage of the local planting and local plants, and with all its biodiversity that is uh, designed to compensate for our intrusion into nature. And designers, landscape designers, are trying to, you know, to pick the planting species, sustainable planting and species that are best suited for particular area.
Дизайнеры стараются конструктивно создать сады, чтобы минимизировать использование природных ресурсов.
Another trend is the usage of landscape architecture that allows them to minimize the usage of exotic plants or intrusion into natural look. And these two examples are from Matthew Charles, Hampton Court Palace, Chelsea, and Andy Sturgeon from Chelsea Flower Show from 2019. I was actually stunned by the planting choices, especially with broad leaves and big plants. I saw it and understood it as something new, although I had seen something similar before, and I can see that the green color prevails. And another slide of my presentation are the examples that we have seen for some time and witnessed in both private and public gardens. It's and the first one is a garden by Pete Udolf that was built in 2013, and we can see that it is green, and it doesn't strike you as very bright, and it feels a backyard of a house, and the green color is what actually revitalizes it. And one of my favorite designers is you probably have seen her works, and it's Rasa Lorraine Visienne. It's the same green theme and very bland colors, ferns and corns. And the last garden that I was stunned by is an American designer named Adam Woodruff, who built this very green garden in his own house, and this planting will eventually cover the whole area, and it will be all green. Talking about local plants, last time at Chelsea there were a few gardens that surprised me with the planting choices, where Northern European plants were used, extremely local. And there's a plant list that I borrowed from a Chelsea 2012 flower show. If we look at the flower list, they're very specific of wet meadow. and where all of these plants are pretty familiar. There are a lot of ferns. Um,
Особенно меня поразил, в прошлом году во многих садах был кукушкин цвет. Это было просто вот, ну,
and many gardens replicated this planting list recently.
назывался сад The Roots in Finland, Kuro Garden. Она практически полностью
And
повторяет
at one of festivals in Finland, this list was totally replicated, and it's basically looks like your meadow at your summer house in your summer house area. And the planting set at Chelsea was exactly had for some time already been like this. And I myself would like to recreate such a garden somewhere in some circumstances. As for recycling and responsible approach to landscape, somebody said at Chelsea that a lot of emphasis is usually on a particular area ecological conditions. But the last time I was in the Netherlands a couple of years ago, I decided to visit Holland and take a look at those gardens. And there was this couple who turned out to be unaware of the landscape designer I was hoping to see in Holland, but he took me to his the property he worked on, and I got to meet some designers that work with used wood, and they use a lot of used materials without any recycle. They basically reusing them. And there's the link to the site, and this is a huge trend. It's very big in the Netherlands right now, and people organize events that are dedicated to building houses for insects and special shelters for hedgehogs, and they united in a special community of such landscape designers, and it's definitely a trend-setting thing. Talking about Scandinavian gardens, what do we imply by Scandinavian gardens? And I was asked to talk about it a little bit. First of all, when we think of a Scandinavian garden, we think of ecology and sustainability, and blending in with the landscape, and its maximum resilience to nature. And another important thing about Scandinavian gardens is its timelessness. Especially talking about color scheme, which should remain the same and transform naturally. Also, what's important is its durability. The materials have to be durable and long-lasting. But I have to say that there's no such thing as a Scandinavian garden that we can describe with just one definition. That they may be different. there's a romantic approach and there's a minimalistic approach.
На
And I
ботанические сады и минималистские сады. Минималистские это те вот, которые мы, как правило,
and
картины,
we
которые мы представляем, что
have been
это
exposed
минималистская.
more to
А на
minimalistic
ботанические сады
gardens,
мы
and that's what comes to mind when you think about the Scandinavian garden.
тоже специфичные. И
But
Франции есть
uh,
некоторые элементы, которые повторяются.
there are also romantic gardens that are more common
Какой-то романтический сад,
in
это
England
когда
and
вот
in
сад
France,
какой-то
but
старой имени с традиционными растениями, вот со
there
скандинавскими
still
мотивами.
can be
Вот
described
это
as
те
Scandinavian gardens.
старые
Um,
сада, которые из Германии
and
привезены.
romantic gardens,
Есть
the
очень
Scandinavian
красивые,
way,
есть очень красивые
are usually those where
Heidi Hannus, вот не знаю,
old
ваши ли,
school
которая написала
techniques are
«Шлейф
used, like
дизайна». Вот
old
совершенно верно. Вот
sort of
это тоже
outdated
является
species of
немногие,
roses,
но
and
тем не менее там
something that
изображены очень
is
разные
not
цветы.
exactly in
Вы
fashion
удивитесь,
right
когда
now.
вы ее откроете, что вы там
Um,
увидите.
there's a
И
book by
вот,
Heidi Hannus
например,
about it.
Нортхилл, которого, работа которого вот слева внизу показана, это вот романтический сад,
For
такой
example,
большой,
there's
красивый.
one
И
guy named Ulf
дальше
Nordfell,
вот
and you
внизу
can
вот
see in the left
его
corner,
работа. Это тоже очень
it's
очень
his
такой
romantic garden.
совершенно
And
минималистский
again,
подход.
these
Да, это
are
небольшой
also
сад, такой,
examples of his
хотя
work, but it's
его
completely different
рассекают северные
because it's
полюса
more
друг от
of
друга.
minimalistic
Здесь
design.
использованы такие дорогие, очень долго играющие элементы
And here
полиграфена.
you can see how
Полиграфена это
more
черная сталь, наверное.
more
А, Полиграфен
resilient
это
and
то, что
durable
получается,
materials are
когда
used, such as
вы
corten or
приблизительно
some
12 метров
anodized
проход
steel,
виден.
even
Это
anodized
большие
steel.
террасы
There are
открытого
big terraces
участок леса
which are
совсем, как правило,
blended
с
in with the
удалившимся покровом
pine
или
trees,
установленным покровом, да, получается.
with the existing
Как бы из тенденций
uh,
городских
wood
садов это,
floor
как правило, ну,
or
такой
reconditioned wood floor.
сад-терраса фактически.
That's
Где
basically
есть
a
какой-то
terrace
стандартный
garden,
набор, которым
and
люди постоянно пользуются, потому что
which
земля
has
очень
a
дорогая.
set
Земля
of
это городской сад, и этот
um,
сад, как правило,
functionalities. It's very
экологический или
functional because the length there
стопроцентный
is
в
very
Финляндии, потому что в
um,
Финляндии нет понятия
expensive.
сотки.
That's why you can't
Ам,
use a lot of it. So
Вот как
each
бы
square meter is
те
put to good use here.
инструменты, которыми достигается, да,
And the
такая
tools with which
минималистичность.
this
Я расскажу про несколько.
minimalistic approach
Первое,
is
вот то,
achieved
что я хотела бы
are,
выделить, того, чего нет в России, потому
first of
что
all, it's something that we're missing here in
это
Russia.
по-фински называется кунта, лесная подстилка, или
Uh,
по-английски forest turf.
it's
Это вот
it's
конец октября, по-моему, как
it's a
раз
technique that is prohibited in Russia. It's forest turf that is artificially
она дизайнер из
grown.
России, она
Then it's
приезжала посмотреть, как это в Финляндии тоже делается,
and
как укладывается эта кунта.
um,
Как правило, очень хорошо этот продукт ландшафтного, как бы ландшафтной отрасли, он работает в хвойных,
it's best used and it makes the best impression when you use it with pine trees or where the wood floor was the original forest turf was damaged because of construction, and it uh, facilitates facilitates a very good transition from natural forest turf to the artificial one. And what's interesting, it's cultivated by felling companies where they when they fell wood and the felling machine damages obviously the trees, and what's left behind basically it's the forest turf that is then collected after felling machines. And it's very well applied on slopes and on even surfaces, and it even bears some berries. Cranberries can be part of this forest turf. And the next one is again it's again grass mats, which are quite expensive, and they are produced by VegTech from Sweden. And there's a variety of mats. Some of them were grown on purpose to be used on roofs, for green roofs. And because green roofing is in high demand, especially in Sweden and Denmark.
То есть это, в общем, однородный состав, который как бы по классификации научной не относится к крышам биоразнообразия.
And sedum mats, they're usually used to be turned into just green roofs. But this company is interesting in terms of making very specific grass mats with very diverse planting, and they use very interesting species. Some mats are for coastal use, and some are even floating. But this is Sweden, and they can afford it. I'd also like to mention last year I was lucky enough to spend some time at Green Roofing Institute, Scandinavian Green Roof Institute. And this trend is very big in Sweden and in Scandinavia now, especially vertical greening, vertical planting. And such approach is very important right now, because southern Sweden and southern Denmark suffering quite a lot from the climate change. And everything has, the weather has become a lot hotter there, and they have to adapt to it. And there were even landscape designers from Spain. And what I was surprised by, and what I noticed, was that there's almost no technology exchange between European countries. And I always thought of Europe as a smaller space where any exchange would be much easier than here. So why am I talking about it? I think that the tendencies are learned by experience, and not always because of and thanks to flower shows. They also appear as a result of personal communication with different designers. I'd also like to highlight the work of Swedish company.
Их посадки очень сильно отличаются, потому что это действительно имитация таких лесных сообществ с маленькими.
What they're trying to do, they're trying to recreate exactly. It's something that you can see in Malmö in Sweden as you walk down the city. you can actually see, even being in the center of the city, you get the impression that you are in the middle of a forest, and it really is a mind-blowing thing. It really struck me as very unusual, because they do recreate pieces of pieces of forests. What a shame we don't have much time. Actually, we're running out of time right now. And I also like to talk a little bit about how furniture is used. And one of the tendencies is the ecological approach. And it's again a part of very common tendency. And it's obviously influenced by Japan in terms of how minimalistic it looks. And one company I'd like to show you, well, the furniture is by Nickery, and they mostly use with, and despite Chelsea, for example, you won't find plastics among materials used for gardens. It's still there, and it's still used, in design. And here's this chair that was invented by an Italian designer, and it was licensed to be produced in Scandinavia. And obviously, bright colors also remain. And we obviously borrowing our ideas from Scandinavia and Denmark and Sweden, but these are the tendencies that sometimes are overlooked by us because the colors are still there. And one of the trends is the combination of brown and beige, and then the unusual combination and concrete color, and they call it gin and tonic color in Finland, and the sky over Stockholm in Sweden. And my personal choice, I'd say the one that I would like to use in my garden, and what I really like is the work of the French brothers, Ronan and Erwin Boulay. It's called Hey Palisade, and another one on the right that you can actually. I managed to see a shoulder of Apollo in your garden. Oh, it wasn't in my garden, but please feel free to be inspired by the trends that you have that I have shared with you. Thank you, Svetlana. Please turn off your screen. That's a very comprehensive and even excessive review. And I'd like to talk to Heidi Hannus, talking about bright structures, but talking about garden pavilions. They quite often speak for themselves, and they're usually surrounded by green planting, but they still do play a vital role in the garden. And since we have been able to get familiarized with Heidi Hannus' work, I think you will be able to talk about it with us.
Hello. Okay. Can I show it from my computer?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. Which one is it? I think maybe it's this one.
Yeah, we see it.
So you can see it now.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Somehow I see it. I have two computers here, so I'm trying to find where to look and what to see.
Same choice.
So my presentation is more like about the modern gardens and in Nordic countries, and of course some international trends also. But let's see what you think, and please ask if you have something to ask me. Okay. So in Finland, because we have a very short summer and very dark this time of the year, like after 4 o'clock, it's completely dark. And so our summer is short and we want it to be continue much more longer. So, but we have a very cold winter, and also usually our autumn is kind of cold and spring. So we want to continue this summer and warm weather. So we built these outdoor buildings. Like here in this photo, you can see this very modern glass house. It's in the rock. It's called Smart Lucia. And I have some problems now. I see different than you. Do you see the first photo all the time?
Мы видим стеклянный дом.
We're seeing the glass house.
You see the glass house all the time. So because I don't know why. Why do you see that all the time? Maybe I need to. Okay, let's see now.
Да.
So now you see the second one.
Да.
Okay. So here you can see this Smart Lucia. It's a Finnish product and very nice. I've been spending there many nights, and it's located. You can buy it and put it wherever you want, but it's glass and the facade. It's like a mirror, and so it reflects the nature from outside, and inside it's like a window, so you can see all the nature like you are in a forest or just in a lake, by the lake, and you really feel it. And nature is very important to Finnish, and of course all in Nordic countries we love our nature very much, and we want to see our northern lights from our houses. So guess what it looks like when you are lying on a bed and looking at the stars and northern lights. They look amazing. And this is a very modern house, and it came to the market last year or 2 years ago. But then this year, this model, Koto, also in this photo, it came just couple of months ago. It's very beautiful. This mirror is there's some kind of pigment when the like birds can see it, so they don't hit this mirror and die. They can see it, but the people cannot see it. They can see it as a normal window, but it's not hurting the birds. So it's very beautiful. And these kind of houses are used as an outside offices or outside living rooms or bedrooms or guest houses or something. It's and the models, there are a lot of different kind of models. If you want to use some names, you can use like glass igloo or glass house. if you put it in the internet. And there are more and more like this. Just my customer just bought 3 of these houses for a guest houses. So this model, very, very nice. And then this idea about glass terrace, I think this is the very easy way to get more warm spaces, more room to your house. And like you see inside of this, there's a living room is continue to outside. So like a global trend, inside and outside are kind of the same kind of furnitures and same kind of decorative idea. So when you design a garden, I have some few ideas here how I design my gardens, and why my designs are liked in Finland. Is one of the reason is that I make spaces like rooms, different kind of rooms in the garden. And like you see in here, this photo, there's like also outside window screen there, and from different kind of angles you see different kind of views. This is the same one from the other side, and very famous photo. It's published in many international magazines and books. This glass house, it's used in as an vegetable house, greenhouse, and also in the outside living room. And there's a fire pit place in front of that, and a couple water elements.
Вот они, яркие цвета.
Here are the bright colors. That's what I was talking about, the bright colors that you employ.
Yeah. Yeah, there will be bright colors also later, but this I will show you also about our in our Nordic countries. We use a lot of gray, a lot of black and white and gray. I have told that in also many times when I have been spending times in Moscow that everything is so colorful in Moscow, and we have this gray and black and white, but now they are fashion. Now our colors are fashion, and now we are trying to learn from you. That's my opinion. Yeah, like in this photo, very gray. Gray gardens are in. But yes, outdoor living room, outdoor kitchens, and outdoor fireplaces. Everything for what is in inside is also fashion in outdoors. And outdoor kitchens, they are very modern shape usually in Finland, and they can continue right after inside kitchen. There's also only a glass window, a glass door, and then the same line is continue all the way outside. So the kitchen is like very big. In the right side you see one of Svetlana's SketchUps for my project. Like you can see here also there's outdoor kitchen and also like outdoor living room in the front of the pool. And in the front of pool you can also see a bar. Svetlana, mikä on baaritiski? Bar table. Put the microphone on. Mikä on baaritiski?
Bar desk.
Bar desk. Ah, okay. So you can see the bar desk in front of the pool, and then there's a fireplace and a sofa and like that. So the same elements which are inside are also in outside. Wrong way, sorry. And here you can again see the outdoor kitchen, the this. Do you see if I use this? Do you see this kun mä käytän tätä hiirtä, Svetlana, näkyykö tää? Näkyykö tämä, kun mä pyöritän hiirtä tässä näytöllä? Ei näy. Okay, so
Жалко, что наш переводчик не сможет переводить с финского.
What a shame that our translator cannot translate from Finnish.
I'm sorry, I'm asking the Svetlana because it's easier if I can't use this program, so I'm asking her to help me. It's just I was using this mouse for the computer. That can you see it, but you didn't see it. So but in the right side of this outdoor building, you see the kitchen, outdoor kitchen. It's there's doors in front of that, and then the open pergola is for table, and big terraces, and it's like really they are together with the houses. My opinion, make a lot of different kind of spaces and to stay and look at, and always think about the architecture. I have seen this in many countries that the gardens are so different from the buildings that they like don't fit together, and I think it's very weird. Like I remember I was in Poland, and I was going around the many gardens to see them, and they were like they didn't fit together at all. So I would like the people to think more about this, how they should be connecting together, and use the same colors from the buildings you use in the gardens, and just mix like a very stylish way, of course, but architecture and the colors and lines comes from the buildings. So then the garden will be beautiful and united with the buildings. Here, I put some photos from my show gardens in Moscow because I wanted to tell how I like to design these show gardens, because show garden is the way to teach people important things. Like this is from Sadi Ludi from Gardens and People, and I wanted to teach people about renewable energy. This was sponsored by Altrain, and it's called Altrain Energy, and there is sun energy panels what are collecting electric for the houses, and then there's plants for the butterflies and bees and like that, and then there's the green roof, and the wooden should have been ecological wood, but it looks like that, but I think it's just painted. But then there's the forest area in the background, and the forest area is for the telling the people that they should take care of the forest and save the forest, and for the people and for the animals and for the planet. So here you can see this green roof, and then this waterfall is reflection of water energy for the electric. Then this flower charm garden, and my flower charm garden was it was like small map of Moscow. There is a wall. You can see it from this photo. That wall is like map of Moscow, and with diagonal lines, and these white lines are roads. Some of the roads are lightened like street lights, and then this garden is in an old part of the Moscow, so it's a nice contrast, yes. And then I wanted to talk about green walls and green roofs. So I have green walls in the right side, this blue one, and then there's this house, this pavilion, or this what do you call it in English, coat shelter. There's green wall also, and then there's a green roof in top of that. And all of these container boxes, they are very colorful, and they are painted with the trend color of 2019, because I wanted to show people that bright colors bring happiness for the people. And like nowadays, the fashion is a trend in gardens is to be used these raised beds, also in the vegetable gardens. So this garden is like minimum. Well, it's not even a minimum. It could be a real house garden. Mikä on rivitalo? Rivitalo, English. Rivitalo.
Townhouse, Heidi.
Where is many houses together. Okay, so this garden could be the size of that. It's like a copy, so you can take the plan and put it in your garden, and everything works together. There's a place to sit there and lie down and like that. Okay, and this is in the wrong place, sorry. This is from the Gardens and People Garden, the forest area photo. What I wanted to tell people about the saving the forest and the shape of the land. Here's again a photo of the flower jam, so you can see this green wall. And this is from the green roof from my flower jam garden. And like Svetlana already explained something about the green roofs, they are very much used nowadays in Nordic countries also, and I hope you are starting to use them also in Russia. And if I understood right, that what I had in Gardens and People, it was the first green sedum carpets, which this company Agro made for them to deliver in the future. And it was very beautiful and very nice and easy to use. It was like 50 centimeter and 33 centimeter carpet, and then we put it all together, and it looks amazing in the roof. So if we go back a little bit, here you can see this from Agro, this green roof sedum carpet.
Ну, то есть это доступно и российским дизайнерам тоже, и я вижу...
Something that we could easily use here in Russia, and something that we could afford. And judging by your presentation, garden pavilions are turning into an important part of the garden, especially this year when we wanted so much to break out of our offices, from our homes. And you're talking exactly about this, that you open and outdoor spaces can be used for family dinners and family gardeners, and especially during lockdown and very unexpected and difficult times.
Yes.
These types of architecture very important.
Ну что же, большое спасибо. Действительно очень...
Thank you very much. That was very interesting indeed.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that our participants actually have something to say, to add to one another's story, and I do not see any controversy or conflict here.
That's good.
Очень хорошо.
So you wanted to see bright colors.
Uh,
This was very bright color. My show, my
Согласна.
first, my first show garden in 2018 in Flower Jam, and the team name was Bright Colors. And I have to say now, a little bit later, like a couple years later, that I would do it a different way. But it was my first. So and there was too much things. I think I used it too much, different kind of things. But the colors was so fun to use because it was so big contrast for our country. But this is I think this was the good example for the schoolyard, where like when you have a little child and you give them bright colors toys, they are very happy, and the bright colors make them more happier. So that's why I wanted to use this. I was very happy when this show garden was placed in a schoolyard, because I thought that there was like spaces for at least 20 people be sitting down in my garden, and it could have been like a school class. So it was nice idea, and I hope it teach them about beauty of colors.
Тем не менее, скандинавские цвета, серый, черный и белый,
Well,
продолжают.
nevertheless, the typical Scandinavian mix of black, white, and gray, they're still there in our gardens, and basically they chasing people, despite some people like it milder and softer.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting Heidi's presentation. We're a little bit out of time frames of our
Okay, sorry.
event, and I would like to give the floor to Marina.
Okay, that's fine.
Рассказать про материалы, которые они использовали в
And I
саду.
would like to ask Marina to talk about the materials they used in the garden named laboratory. And I wasn't able to be there in person, but from what I saw, I could understand that it's quite innovative approach that you used.
Мы вас слышим.
We can hear you fine. Please show us your presentation. Sorry, we're not able to show you the video, but we've seen your garden, which is called Laboratorium. So please talk a little bit about the materials. I'm very happy to take part in today's roundtable, and the topic of the festival was the place of power. And I think that's quite interesting how ideas appear and how they occur to us. And the idea of our homeland as a place of power is quite natural for everyone. And we basically get ideas from the topic of your birthplace, and it will and it should be a trend-setting theme, your birthplace. And we decided to make a really original garden, and we started to look for a place that is very important to where we were born. and we found out that we learned that we actually live next to an atomic station, a nuclear station, and we started thinking that basically a nuclear station is it's the absolute achievement of the human thought. And then we started to work with associations with and one of the things that sprang to mind was a laboratory that is needed to work with nuclear power. Then it led us further to constructivist design and industrial design. Then we came across this quite famous picture of waterfall house, and then we started thinking how we could play upon industrial and natural environment, and how we could put them together. And that's what it looked like initially. Where we ran parallel structures, and we solved the problem of a graphic presentation, but we still kept thinking about the delivery. We wanted to make an impressive delivery, and we came to the conclusion that what we wanted were big grown trees that would contrast the handcrafted, handmade, um, and wild and free nature. And we wanted to show this contrast, and we wanted to show that we could use nature to our mutual interest and mutual benefits. And this led us to the aesthetics of very functional basic things. And we came up with this water vessel and piping that ran across the garden, and we connected it visually to the running water. And you can see the glass structure that you can see running there, and then it goes to the pipes, and thus we had a very important interactive element of the garden, but it's the vital element that connected the living nature and the man-made structures. And also we needed some places of where we could draw people to and made them stay there. And the gallery ends with a pavilion that you could be in and contemplate the running water. And that's how the area where that was given to us for our project looked like. And we were super excited to start our project there. And there were nettles all around, and we started clearing the area. There were lots of fallen trees, and there was this terrible fence. And as a bonus, we had that brick wall that we used as an outer element of our garden. And what was interesting about the place that there used to be mansions before the revolution, so it was quite an important place. And then we started finding a lot of objects that were used to create the base for our project. And we had a lot of stories from people who lived there, and they said there were a huge greenhouse there. And we also found a lot of bricks covered with moss, and we wanted to play upon this moss. And one of our architects started a farm in Yekaterinburg to grow moss. And we wanted to show how moss could be applied. And the bricks that we found already with moss growing on them turned into a linkage between our garden and the outer area. And thus we were able to continue our ideas visually with the objects that we found on site. And it blended in with the area extremely well. You can see the stones that we found in that derelict area. And that's what it looks like. These are the moss mats that are used in the construction. And that's the wall that worked as a perfect background to the existing trees. And we used metal grids to protect the trees, to protect the roots of the trees. We used metal nets. This is part of the wall that was built with the materials that we found on site. And garden logically started from the old wall, and then it would lead you through to the more modern elements towards the so-called future. Talking about water features, well, water was vital to the project, and I have to say that we unfortunately had a lot of rain during the show, but it didn't do any harm to our garden. It actually created an illusion of moving water. And so the weather was on your side, wasn't it? I'm really sorry, Marina. I'd like to really take a closer look at your garden and look at it in more detail. But maybe we should run your video instead of your presentation. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Please turn off your share screen, and we're gonna run this video, and we'll get a chance to get inside this garden, which is, I think, important, especially for the viewers. But I'd like to warn you all that unfortunately we have one speaker left who is waiting for her turn, and we probably won't have enough time for Q&A session. But I do ask all the participants of our roundtable to get back to the comment section and answer the questions and comments that we'll be getting later, because I believe that this experience is very important, and I do hope that you will interact with our viewers. Thank you. My name is Marina, and I'm Alexei, and we present our garden laboratory for the Festival of Landscape Design Atmosphere. And
у нас возник образ атомной станции. То есть мы вдохновились российской атомной энергетикой. Но у нас безопасной. Да, безопасной.
We were inspired by Russian nuclear plants and nuclear energy plants.
Каким образом мы мыслили? Атомная станция – это место, где природная энергетика покорилась силе человеческой мысли. А где рождается такая вот научная мысль? В лаборатории. Поэтому и возник вот этот вот образ такой лаборатории, где происходят какие-то эксперименты. И в нашем случае мы постарались продемонстрировать различные ландшафтные эксперименты. Ну, одним из таких экспериментов стала демонстрация посетителям выставки красоты, эстетики, именно такой вот прямой планировки, формальной структуры, линейной планировки. Потому что наш зритель в основном, наши владельцы загородных участков в основном привыкли к плавной какой-то форме линий, дорожек, газонов и так далее. Здесь же нам хотелось показать, наоборот, красоту вот этой вот линейной структуры. Мы выстроили перспективу в галерее, закончили ее таким вот эффектным павильоном и постарались продемонстрировать какие-то новые материалы в ландшафте.
Да, ну, нужно сказать, что мы постарались сделать действительно мир человека и мир природы. И на стыке этих двух миров образует как раз место силы, место соприкосновения, где происходит движение всех энергий. И мир человека мы как раз постарались передать именно за счет материалов. Это материалы такие, как металл, стекло, бетон, какие-то очень интересные фишки технические, такие как вот вибрации на потолке. Они как раз придают то самое высокое напряжение, которое у нас имеется. А из мира природы мы постарались передать именно за счет цветников и за счет мха. То есть мох всегда присутствует такая стойкая ассоциативная связь, что это нечто старое, древнее, гармоничное, устойчивое. И вот как раз, когда идет граница двух миров человека и мира природы, и где присутствует мох, это некая связь между этими мирами, которая говорит о том, что эти два мира могут сосуществовать очень успешно, долговременно и гармонично.
В нашем саду присутствуют контрасты между, вот, как сказал уже Алексей, рукотворными материалами, да, то есть материалами, которые либо получил, либо изобрел человек. И вот этим вот растительным наполнением сада мы постарались сделать это наполнение максимально природным, для того, чтобы усилить вот этот контраст, показать красоту контраста живого и неживого, эстетику функционала. Мы специально вынесли на всеобщее обозрение вот эти вот трубы, которые у нас продолжаются через весь сад, да, то есть они имитируют движение воды, продолжение движения воды, которое начинается на потолке нашей стеклянной галереи, опускается с фонтана и движется дальше по трубам вот в определенную емкость, где тоже
движение потоков энергии между разными мирами, между миром природы и миром человека. Динамику мы постарались передать очень много, что нашими линейными трубами, фонтаном, другими вещами.
природность мы подчеркнули еще за счет того, что включили деревья в нашу композицию. То есть здесь на площадке существуют очень большие крупные деревья, и мы их захватили к себе в сад. У нас есть несколько роскошных черемух, которые встроены, одна из них встроена в павильон. Мы обошли подпорной стенкой цветника ясень, тем самым включив его тоже к нам в композицию. Ну и фон, который вот у нас сейчас есть, это тоже за счет существующих деревьев, мы это тоже постарались учить.
Надеемся, что наш сад получился очень успешным, хорошим, интересным.
Ну, как мы знаем, гран-при и похвала Энди Стёрджена, который сказал, что этот сад, в общем, достоин, да, самой высокой оценки и международного признания. Поздравляем вас. И спасибо, что рассказали нам о нем сегодня. Я очень их прошу сейчас включиться в дискуссию Евгению Руссу, тоже участника цветочного джема и ландшафтного дизайнера и руководителя группы компаний «Сад Парад». Что вы думаете о трендах?
Я, на самом деле, очень много думаю о трендах, просто боюсь, что наше эфирное время не позволит очень долго об этом дискуссировать, поэтому сразу же перейду, может быть, к презентации, потому что думаю, что многие уже устали, и в том числе и наши слушатели. Вот,
конечно.
Поэтому давайте я перейду сразу к презентации. Да, все видно?
Да.
Ну, назвала я ее кухня, офис, лаунжи и павильоны в саду. И так как мы сегодня очень много говорим о трендах, есть разные классификации, есть метатренды, которые заходят на десятилетия, есть макротренды 3-5 лет, да, и есть тренды, которые могут продержаться там от сезона до, там, скажем так, до года. И мы в садовой моде все-таки, она не настолько скоротечна, как в фэшн-индустрии, да, и в таких отраслях. И у нас все-таки она подольше, как бы, да, вот тенденции, они дольше сохраняются и развиваются. И кроме того, как вот Светлана очень подробно рассказывала о том, что современное искусство очень сильно влияет, и различные сферы, скажем так, этих социальной сферы, они тоже очень сильно влияют на формирование тенденций. То есть наша жизнь последние, сколько, ну вот в течение года, да, 9 месяцев, она тоже продиктовала определенные свои коррективы, внесла. И,
интересно, сохранится ли это влияние надолго?
И вот что я поделиться просто хочу своими наблюдениями, да, что раньше, допустим, у нас тоже аналог павильонов, это беседки были, да, но все это в русской культуре, не все иностранцы знают, что такое беседка, очень часто просят перевести, мы как-то пытаемся объяснить, что такое беседка. Потом это как-то устарело, да, все поняли, что в беседку бегать там за чаем с солью в дом и прибегать обратно, это не очень оптимизировано, скажем так, и начали развивать один узел, да, вот я планчик небольшой привожу, что один узел около дома – это терраса крупная, и мы из дома попадаем сразу на террасу, и нет такой необходимости ходить там в разные углы сада.
Well, we have a notion of беседка in Russian, and it's quite difficult to explain in English what it is, but it's basically a roofed terrace, and we employ this idea quite a lot in our landscape design, but the Russian idea of besiedka has been transformed into a lounge zone. And here we're talking about separate spaces which are separated from the main house. And all of a sudden, by placing lounge zones far apart from the main house, we managed to draw more attention to it. And obviously during lockdown times, people started to appreciate social distancing within their properties, and even living together, especially if they're different, even if they're different age groups living under the same roof. And thank God we didn't have a lockdown in our region. But what we noticed during these times, that lounge zones and open outdoor kitchens have become increasingly required by the client. And before that, clients rarely valued such places, and now it is changing. And we had a flower show garden where we built a garden with different functional zones. And here you can see the trend of minimalistic trend, and at the same time it looks like a bar table with the relaxation or chill out zone, where people can gather and talk about this or that. And as you can see, it's a very compact and very rather modest area in terms of size, but still it has different functionality in different zones. And at the same time, you can feel yourself happy in a small confined place. At the same time, it's a common place where you can get together and do both socializing and being on your own. And it's becoming more relevant in these times when restaurants and clubs are closing down because of the well-known events. And we try to employ different techniques, suspended illumination, and that's what it looks like at night. Actually, I've been to that garden and I could appreciate it with my own eyes. That's
потому что еще другие сады, но тот, вот, который я сейчас до этого показывала, там не было крыш, не было павильона. Были вот именно функциональные вот эти зоны. И немножко недостаток в том, что погода изменчива в нашей климатической.
And the garden I was showing you before didn't have any roofs, so it's not for any weather. And this particular garden has a lounge zone with the roof that can be used in. It looks like the roof is transparent, but there's actually a pergola which you can barely see there. There's pergola on top of it, so it protects you from rain, and it can be turned into an outdoor office. And we even had a nursery presentation there. And after the presentation, we would spend quite a lot of time there talking with the nursery owners. So what was happening there is something that can happen in any garden where people get together to spend some time together. Something that we did here is another project where we worked with a nursery, and there's maybe you could even recognize the Your letter, which is a Yole-Pali nursery, and this project has not been finished yet, but obviously the area should be zoned and divided into different zones for relaxation, for a place where you can have some food, a place where you can work, and all these pavilions were meant to serve exactly these purposes. And this is the project that we have completed together with the Architectural Bureau Alpha S. And these you can see dining area and a chill out area. And it reflects the house, how the house was structured. And sometimes we still get back to this garden and consult the owners on maintenance. So this, when this garden was created, it was 2012, and it was quite ahead of time at that time. And today, this particular area in the garden is a place of attention, and the clients spend more time there than ever before. Also, we get inspiration from minimalistic houses and structures, and this is that's very reserved design, and everything is simple. And especially in our pandemic times, we understand that we probably don't want to spend too much money, and we try to use simple ideas and simple forms. And I'm very happy that we made it to the final of Flower Show, Flower Jam, and of this year. And here we were inspired by the nature intervening into our natural city habitat. And here's this particular project is designed for public spaces of a city. There's a water feature, a pond, and there's some artificial fog. There's a fog dispensers there, and we're looking forward to realization of this project. And talking about children, and they do need personal space more than anybody else. That's why we came up with the idea of children houses and houses for kids on properties in the country. And these little simple concepts were very popular this year, and they were very popular last summer. So I think this is also a trend, especially for the future, and this topic of multifunctional pavilions located in different parts of property is also a trend. Thank you very much. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. Thank you very much. Talking about a multifunctional space that has to be adapted to our needs. And we unfortunately cannot say that we can predict very well our life in the future, but it does mean that we have to adapt our spaces to ever-changing circumstances. Thank you very much, everyone. on behalf of Flower Jam, thank you for participation. We were very happy to see you, and were inspired again by your projects and your energy and your ideas. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Счастливо.